OpenAI has just released a new feature in ChatGPT called Projects. Projects are amazing when used properly. That's why in this video I'm going to show you the best ways to use them. I'm going to be giving you access to free resources, prompts, and templates that you can use in order to fast track your rate of success and best use projects in order to solve your problems. Projects in ChatGPT really act as folders for you. So not only is it a good way for solving problems, but really, it's a good way for organizing all of your information. And it's a very subtle feature. There's not some big projects dashboard. All it is in your left-hand sidebar, if you open it up, it's a little section that says projects. And it's essentially a spot to keep all of your chat threads. And you get to organize this messy sidebar much better than before. So you can create projects in the form of folders just to organize your chat threads, or when you're solving a specific problem, or if you want to create a hub where you don't have an end to your problem and you keep on going for specialized output formatting, it's entirely up to you. So if I open up this Zoom transcript analysis project and I click into one of my chat threads, at the top of my screen, you're going to see breadcrumbs, and these breadcrumbs are pointing to the chat thread within the project. So it's a great way to organize all of your information. You can do some amazing things. This is what the project's interface looks like. When you create a project, you're prompted to give it a name, such as this, and you can even change the icon color. So this is another level of organization. You could have color-coded folders, maybe green for finance, red for automations, yellow for research. You can organize your folders in a way like never before. And a lot of people were requesting that feature in ChatGPT. So now let's get into actually creating a project and everything that goes into creating a successful project. In order to create a project, you want to go to the project section within your sidebar and hit this little plus button. Then you want to give your project a name. I'm going to name this the AIF Automation Builder. So anytime I want to build an automation for AI foundations, I'm going to come to this project because it's going to know my exact direct flow for how I and my team like to create automations. We have a very specific formula that we use in order to keep our databases organized, structured, and in order to have everything flow smoothly. So ChatGPT out of the box is not going to know the way that AI Foundations organizes their automations. It's not going to know that we have an input database. It's not going to know the direct flow of information from idea to input database to an output. So I'm going to use this project in order to best explain that with some of the features that comes with this project. So let me get into it. When you give your project a name, you want to hit Create Project. And then it's going to bring you to a new interface, which is awesome. I'm going to close my sidebar. And here, like I said, you can change the color of your folder icon. So maybe I want to make all of my automations in the form of a yellow color. So anytime I have an automation type project, and I want to create a project with it in ChatGPT, maybe I'll make it that nice yellow color. Next, I want you to notice you can select different models. Now, if you're not using GPT-4o, you won't be able to have access to the file content. So you want to make sure that you're using GPT-4o if you want ChatGPT to reference the files, at least at the time of this video. I'm sure as ChatGPT gets better and more advanced, they're going to give file access to things like O1 and O1 Pro. Adding files and adding instructions to this ChatGPT project is what's going to make it more capable than a regular version of ChatGPT. Any files that you add or any instructions you add to the specific project that you are in, this project will use both of them with each other. So that means you can, in your instructions, tell it to reference certain files maybe when a certain word is said or when a certain time comes within your flow. There's so many cool things you can do with the combination of adding files and adding instructions, but it can be confusing understanding where to start, what to add, how to do it, instruction templates, formats. You know, there's so many things to think about when creating a project. So what I've done is I've aggregated all this information into one spot for you. I've put all the information in our free AI community, AI Pioneers. Yes, it's free. You literally, all you have to do is join. I'll leave a link in the description or the top pinned comment, but this is a place where I have all my resources on the channel, and I made it free so anyone could access them. So if I go to the ChatGPT Projects full guide, as you can see, I have resources here for us to use that I'm going to be using for the rest of this video. Yes, it's free. This group also gets early access to all of my YouTube content. They got this video 24 hours in advance. So if you want to stay on top of the game and you want to get ahead in the AI space, join a free AI community where you can network, get access to awesome resources, and more. Now, we just want to get to know you better, okay? We found that growing our network has actually grown our knowledge in AI. So that's why I'm putting all of this stuff in a community, so I can get to know you a little bit better, and so that I can better answer your questions rather than the comment section on YouTube. Not a good spot to do it. So joining a community that's all about AI is going to help you grow and expand, not only when you gain access to resources, but when you gain access to a member network of right now over 630 people who are always online talking about AI, willing to reach out to you as well. So that's where I am, hosting all of my resources. But let's start first with adding project files to ChatGPT's project. Once you create your project, you're going to want to add files in order to make this thing actually useful. So I've added here, for my reminder and for the members of the AI Pioneers community, some bullet points for things that you should think about adding to your project files. You can add things like images and diagrams, PDFs, company goals, project overviews, tools used, coding files, CSVs of your database or maybe your Google Sheets so that it understands a structure of what you're talking about. These are things that are going to give ChatGPT context within that project file section. When you select add files, you have the ability to upload documents, code files, images, and more, and all of those things that I just mentioned within the community. So this is going to give your project access to knowledge that it didn't previously have in order to help you get a tailored solution to the project that you're working on or to the problem that you're dealing with, the event you're planning, whatever you're using project files for. Maybe you create a general project for research and development or research and learning. Maybe you just want specific files for it to research and instructions for how you want it to go about research. Maybe you're planning a wedding, a big event, building an automation, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You need to give ChatGPT more context to the situation in order for it to help you more. So because of that, what I've done is I've created something called a project overview. And this project overview is going to give enough context to ChatGPT in order to get started using projects. I think these 4 points, when given to ChatGPT, even just this one file can help it get you from A to B much faster than it could without it. So this project overview, I want you to fill out. Now, when you select this project overview, what you need to do is you need to provide things to ChatGPT like a brief description, key objectives, problem statement, and tools used. But what I'm going to do, since I have it right here in my resources section, is I'm just going to click it, and then I'm going to hit File and make a copy so I can edit this. I'm going to name it Project Overview AIF Automation Builder. So I have it properly organized within my Google Drive. And making a copy is going to allow me to edit this file. So right here, we need to put a brief description of our project. Then we need to put key objectives, a problem statement, so clearly identifying the challenge or gap that the ChatGPT project aims to address. So here you're just going to describe your problem. So ChatGPT understands, okay, they're dealing with this in regards to their description of the project as well as their key objectives. You see, it's like, okay, here's what the project needs to be about. Here's what I want to achieve. This is my problem. And then you also have a tools used section. I think it's important to list out the tools you're using, whether it's online, in person, whatever it is. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this out in order to add it to my project files. And this is just one file I'm adding right now. I'm also going to add an image of how my automation structure is set up. So down here is the image I'm speaking of. This is kind of my automation structure that's unique to our AI Foundations community, where we have inputs that go to an input database, and then we have outputs from that input database. We want everything flowing into the input database first, but if I just go to ChatGPT and ask it to build me an automation, it does not know that stuff. So I'm not only going to explain it in my project overview section, but what I'm also going to do is add this image to context within the project files. But we're going to focus on one thing at a time. I recommend everyone fills out a project overview so that they can only understand more about what they're trying to accomplish and put it in words, but also so that ChatGPT understands the scope of your project, the tools you're using, the problems you're dealing with, and your key objectives. So first off, I'm going to fill out this project overview and then upload it to my project files. I've just finished creating step number 1 of the project overview, which is the brief description. Now, this isn't as brief as I would like it, but it's tough explaining my system. So even just using natural language in the file section in order to describe and walk through in your head what you're trying to accomplish is going to be very important. So I tell it, this project is going to serve as a place to build out structures for my Make.com automations and also help me build automations in Make.com once I understand the flow and structure of how they should work within my, see this, current system. This is what's super important, is it's something very unique to me. So I'm going to add project files of what is my current system. I say I have a very specific way of doing my automations. Here's a quick outline of how information should flow within, again, my system. And then I go through a 6-step list on how information's flowing through my system. So we have an input capture. I list out some important information right here. We have a data processing step. So anytime we get an input, we parse and classify that within our database. For example, we might have an idea into raw text, and then we classify it by an input type. So I'm telling it here, we have input capture and we have data processing, but then the next step's output generation. So processed inputs ready for action. Once an input has been entirely processed, then I can run another automation in order to get an output. For example, these YouTube analytics outputs. I actually, for each one of these YouTube analytic outputs, have a separate database that shows backend analytics for my YouTube data, which I've then created an interface around. So now that's kind of the flow, and that's what I'm describing here in my project overview. We have output generation, we have operational and research outputs, multi-step and recursive workflows. Next in this template, you want to list your key objectives. These I do recommend keeping actually brief. So the brief description, that can be a little bit longer. Key objectives, make it bullet points. What do you want? For this, I just want a clear vision whenever I have an idea on how it's actually going to flow within my system so that I don't have to guess and kind of draw it down on paper. I can just type in my ideas to my project and it draws out the entire flow for me. It says, here's how it's going to flow through your input database. Here's how you can create an interface around it. And it just knows my system inside and out. So again, I'm keeping my key objectives very brief and I'm just saying exactly what I want. I say, I want to achieve clarity whenever I have an automation idea on the flow and structure of how it could fit within my AI Foundations content generation system. And I just labeled what I call my system so that later on I can show you how the AIF automation builder can actually reference and pick certain things out of this project file here. Now, just so you're not lost here, remember, this is all going to be context that ChatGPT can use within our specific folder here. So anytime we chat within this folder, it's going to be referencing this project overview. Next, after we have our key objectives, we want to dive into the problem statement within our project overview. So what problems are you currently dealing with that you want ChatGPT to help you? So just identify the challenge or gap that ChatGPT Projects aims to address. So here my problem statement looks something like this. Again, using natural language in this project overview. It says, I struggle to determine the proper flow and structure for my automation ideas and how it fits into my system when the automations become complex. And then I also say that I want a collaboration partner because I struggle with errors and how to use certain modules and tools in Make.com. Again, if you don't know what Make.com is, it's an automation software where you can connect certain apps to each other so that when one thing happens in one app, for instance, you get an email from a certain name, another thing happens in a different app. Maybe you take that email, throw it through ChatGPT, all in Make.com, and then send it to a Slack channel or something like that. Next section we want to fill out is the tools used. So I won't read all of this to you, but I just described the tools that I usually use and what they're used for within my system, my project, my workflow, whatever it is that you're creating. Just list some of the tools you use. Maybe you're planning a wedding. Are you using any specific wedding planning tools? Maybe you're travel planning. What airlines are you flying on? That would kind of be considered a tool, I suppose. What trains do you want to take? Just more context into the things that you're going to be using in order to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish. I can just toss all this project overview into the back end of my project files, and ChatGPT is going to have something to reference each and every time. And the reason I like doing this in Google Docs is so I can save this file, I can come back and I can edit certain things. Maybe I add a new tool. I could just come in here and add the tool down here and then re-upload this file. But for now, things are looking amazing. We've filled out the project overview template. I'm going to hit File, Download, and I'm going to download this as a plain text file. PDFs are sometimes a little bit more hefty, so I recommend going plain text. As you can see, this is only 4.7 KB compared to if I were to download a PDF, 74 KB. So a lot bigger of a file than the plain .txt file. So now within our ChatGPT project that we've created, I can add this file. I'm going to add files, and then I'm going to upload my project overview here. And now we have this document that we can reference. So just to show you an example of how these project files are working, let me do something for you. I'm going to ask in this project that we're currently in with our uploaded file, what's the name of my unique system? And remember, I only put that in one spot, and that would be right down here under key objectives, my AI Foundations content generation system. So this is the answer I'm hoping for. I'm going to provide no other context in the prompt. I just want it to reference the project file. I'm going to send it off, and then it's going to reference the project file without me asking any other things or giving it any other hints, and it knows the name of the system, the AI Foundations content generation system. So that's how it's referencing your file. You can even ask follow-up questions about where in your file it referenced that. Under which section was this referenced? And I can send that off, and it will tell me the key objectives section of the document. So as you can see, it's very specific, and when you actually add good project files, it can give you tailored solutions. So this is beautiful. Now in our sidebar, when we open this up, we actually have a chat thread underneath this, and we can organize all of our chats within this. We can even rename the chats within this as well. So I could even just name this like AIF project file testing. Now let's add some other project files to this in order to make it even more powerful. So like I said, in my project overview, I was referencing the input database quite a bit. The input database right there, input database right here. So in order to give it more context in regards to my input database, what I could do is I could go to my input database and I could just download this thing. So I'm going to hit download CSV. And as you can see, we have input database content table CSV. You can rename this to whatever you'd like. And now that we have the input database structure right here in our downloads, we can also add that to the project files. So I'll open that in the project files, and it says file contents may not be accessible. So what can we do in order to see if it is accessible or not? Well, we can go to our AIF project file testing, and we can now ask another question. What columns are in my input database? I can send it off. And remember, it's going to search the project files in order to see what columns are within my input database. And as you can see, it says your input database contains the following columns: idea, raw text, input type, and date. If I go to my input database, the one that I just downloaded, we have idea, raw text, input type, and date. Another thing I might want to add is the photo of the structure so that it can understand visually how content should be flowing. So I'll download this image, and then after I have it, I'm going to add it and then upload it. So I'm now uploading an image to this. So we now have all of our project files in here that I think are necessary in order to start getting a lot better outputs than using the regular version of ChatGPT. Now that you understand the importance of adding project files, you have some ideas on what to upload to project files in order to see some epic results. Next, what we need to do is we need to add instructions. Now, instructions are key. So what I've done here is I've also developed another template for you to use in order to get tailored outputs every single time. So these instructions are going to be for very specific outputs that you want. If you want it very structured, you want it very clear, very tailored to you, then these instructions are going to be for you. It's going to give you very consistent outputs. So if you like coming to ChatGPT and you like knowing what it's going to give you, this instruction template is going to be super useful for you. You can also just add your own instructions, telling it to reference the project files in a certain way and help you with certain queries. You can just use natural language, but this template that I'm about to show you is what I've used in bigger projects in order to achieve much better structured, consistent responses. So also within the AI Pioneers community, under the ChatGPT Projects full guide section right here, I've provided another resource, the meta instructions template. Now, when we click into this, it's probably going to look very confusing for you. So I'm going to do my best to explain it. And I've also created a GPT to help you when I'm not there, to help explain the structure of what these meta instructions are meaning at each step of the way. So this is the custom instruction template that you want to give your project. Now, this is the best way for having structured outputs and having it give you answers and reference files directly every single time. Now, remember, this is going to go within our AIF automation builder under the instructions section. Instructions help you tailor ChatGPT to respond in a specific way, to reference certain files, and more. So you can ask ChatGPT to focus on certain topics, as it says here, or ask it to use a certain tone or format for responses. And if you're ever struggling with this, like you don't understand why we're using these certain tags, or you don't understand how to implement something you want in your instructions, just go to the Maestro GPT that I've given you in the AI Pioneers community. This is going to help you walk through each and every step of meta instructions, and it's going to help you craft these instructions for your ChatGPT projects. So if you're wondering why we use tags like that within our meta instructions template, go to the Maestro and ask it. If you have any question about the meta instructions template, go to the Maestro. Now you can go in here and you can just craft this yourself, or what you can do is use a combination of the Maestro and also this prompt I've created in order to use natural language to help you craft your instructions. So that's what I'm going to be doing because I think it's the easiest way. But feel free to come in here and just fill out the highlighted yellow sections with your instructions broken down clearly. Also your example input, example output, and your file names with brief descriptions, as well as the purpose of the template. I'm going to show you a way how I'm going to use a prompt in order to craft these instructions for me. I'm going to copy this prompt from the AI Pioneers community, hit Control-Shift-V, and paste it in so it keeps a nice format for us. And then we're just going to go through here and fill out the bracketed information. So what role do we want ChatGPT to fill? So for role, I just put an expertmake.com automator who understands the structure and flow of my system. Communication style, how do I want ChatGPT to respond to me? I want it simple and direct. Output format, how do I want ChatGPT to output its responses and how many responses do I want? I can just tell exactly how I want the flow to go and how I want ChatGPT to give me responses. I say, I want to be able to type in automation ideas and have ChatGPT give me the proper structure and flow of how it fits into my system in the general sense of how this automation will work. Once I approve and understand the flow, I then want it to continually work with me, giving me more detailed steps on actually building the automation using numbered list and action steps. So we're basically telling the Maestro how we want our ChatGPT project to perform in regards to the instructions. So the instructions are going to tell ChatGPT projects how to act, how to respond, what files to reference. The Maestro is helping us craft those instructions for the project. I then have a section that says, here's my project overview in order to help you craft these instructions. Here is where you want to paste in your project overview that we filled out earlier in the video. So remember this thing. This is what we want to paste in here at this point. So I'm going to scroll down, going to copy all of this, going to go back to the Maestro, and then where it says project overview, I'm going to delete that and hit Control-Shift-V in order to keep that nice formatting. And now my entire project overview is pasted in here, so it knows a lot more about what I'm trying to complete with this. Next, what I have is project files and what they're used for. So here you want to go back to your ChatGPT project and go look at your project files and copy them directly. So here I can copy project overview AIF automation builder. I can copy that and paste in file one name. So I'll paste that in right here, project overview, and then I'm going to give a brief description of its importance. So as you can see, I just used a single sentence right here to describe what this file one is all about. I can then go back and do that same thing for the input database structure and the automation flow image. Then I have a little send off command here, craft these meta instructions for me to implement into my project using the template provided combined with my information. So we're giving it a ton of different things here. And the goal is to have it craft instructions that look like this so we can get the best outputs from our ChatGPT project. I'm going to send this off now. And now as you can see, it's giving us this big jumbled text, which looks kind of confusing. But what we can do is we can just ask it to provide this in a code block for us. We can send that off, and now it's going to be a lot easier to see what's actually happening. And we have our certain instructions in here based on this entire prompt that I've given you within the AI Pioneers community. If you use this prompt in the Maestro GPT, you should get amazing instructions for your ChatGPT project like these. And these should work very, very well. But you can also, edit these instructions if you don't like certain things. For example, the post acknowledgement walkthrough, I don't really like how short these output examples are. I want them to be a lot more specific and in-depth. So I can say, I want and then paste it in, to be much more detailed and helpful for me when creating automations. I can send that off. And as you can see now, for this section name, the post acknowledgement walkthrough, it's giving me much more detailed output examples. So when it gives me automation building techniques in the actual project, it's going to build them like it does in this example here, which is beautiful. We want very clear instructions when building automations. We want the flow in the normal structure to be very basic and very straightforward and clear, like it goes from here to here to here. But we want, when we're actually building the automation, to have that be a lot more in-depth, like it was right here. So now what I can do is I can copy all of this, go back to my automation builder, and I can just add those instructions by hitting Control-Shift-V. Now that I have these instructions in here, what I want to do is I want to replace this section name post acknowledgement walkthrough. This is just for me, but I'm showing you how you can do this. So I'm going to highlight all of this so I know what I want to replace. And I'm going to go back and copy the new text by hitting copy code. And then I'm just going to paste it right there. And now we have much better response output for our post acknowledgement walkthrough. I'm going to hit save. And now we have everything we need for a successful ChatGPT project. We have our instructions. We have our project files. So now I can just come in here whenever I want to build an automation. And I can just give an automation idea. And then it will give me how it fits into my unique system, because not only does it have this database CSV, it also has an image of the flow and a project overview of what I want. We're giving it so much context to work with here. Now all I have to do is test it out. So I can just say something like this in order to test it out. I want to build an automation that takes spoken text from a Slack channel and turns it into a video outline. I then can provide a little bit more information if I want. I say I have a lot of ideas in my head that I talk about on Slack via a voice recording to my team. And I want an automation built that takes those transcriptions of my audio and creates YouTube video outlines for me. So maybe you have a team channel on Slack and you just want to take all of your spoken text and turn it into video outlines. Well, now that it knows my system, it's going to be very tailored to me. If I send this off, it's going to have everything tailored to me. So it's going to be using our instructions, it's going to be referencing our files, and it knows that I have an input capture now, and that I have a data processing stage, and that I have an output generation. So it's giving me the structure in the flow of my system, and it's so unique to me. And if it looks pretty good, I can just say, looks good. And then remember, we set it up in the instructions so that once it was approved, the automation flow, then it gets into a detailed step-by-step guide on how to build that automation within make.com, giving me step-by-step instructions for what to do. And this is just amazing because it just puts everything in one place for me. There's no guesswork. It knows my system now. So whenever I have a new automation I want to build, I can come back to this project and it knows my project files. It knows what I want done directly. I don't have to keep reiterating that anytime I go to ChatGPT. So I hope you enjoyed this video on how to build a successful ChatGPT project, kind of a full guide video describing why it's useful, how to use it, and I hope you enjoy those templates and instructions that I've given you within the AI Pioneers community. Again, if you missed out on that, it's 100% free. So I'm leaving a link in the description or the top pinned comment below in order for you to join that and get access to all of these resources. Again, we want to network with you. We want to learn from you and what you've been through, how you've used AI. That's the best way to grow in artificial intelligence. We've learned more in 6 months from our community than we have in the past 2 years. So you can really expand your growth with the community. I recommend you join and get integrated. Hop on our live Q&As that we have in there. Consume all the content from the classroom. Take a look at all the posts people are creating. And you really just want to get involved within the community. It will help you grow in artificial intelligence, and that's what we want for you. So that's all I have for this video. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.